Let's discuss Spider-Man No Way Home. This is another lecture. To frame our discussion, I'm Alexei. It's important to understand we will move from definition to implications with due economy and precision.
Hi, I'm Priyanka. Thank you for joining us. I'll mostly ask the questions I think many of us are wondering about.
Let's begin with the structural overview. Spider-Man No Way Home is a 2021 American superhero film within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, directed by John Watts and written by Chris McKenna and Eric Summers. It is the third entry in the Homecoming trilogy and the 27th MCU installment. Fundamentally, it operationalizes the multiverse as a narrative device to converge characters and timelines from Sony's earlier Raimi and Webb Spider-Man films with the MCU continuity, thereby converting the identity exposure cliffhanger from Far From Home into a catalyst for cross-franchise storytelling.
So, maybe the best place to begin is by asking a simple question. When we say multiverse here, what exactly do we mean? Like, in plain terms, but also, a little rigorous.
In this context, the multiverse denotes a set of parallel realities that are causally separated, yet intermittently permeable through extraordinary interventions. Cinematically, it licenses alternate iterations of a character to co-appear, without retroactively invalidating their original narratives. Doctor Strange's corrupted memory spell fractures boundaries, admitting visitors who know Spider-Man's identity: Otto Octavius, Norman Osborn, Max Dillon, Kurt Connors, and Flint Marko. Crucially, the film uses crossover not merely for spectacle, but as a thematic scaffold for responsibility, redemption, and loss. This is not an ontological lecture on many worlds, but a storytelling instrument to test Peter Parker's ethics under maximum pressure.
Right? And the MCU part is basically the shared universe where these films connect across titles. So this movie is both a sequel and a bridge. Yes.
Precisely. It is both a capstone to a high school arc for Tom Holland's Peter, and the hinge connecting to wider MCU and Sony universes. It also deliberately limits Stephen Strange's prior multiverse expertise due to pandemic-induced schedule reshuffles that placed this film before Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
So yeah, moving on. Why should we care beyond fan excitement? Like, what were the stakes for the genre and the industry?
We observe two principal stakes. First, industrial economics. No Way Home became the highest-grossing film of 2021, earning approximately $1.9 billion worldwide during the pandemic, restoring confidence in theatrical exhibition and setting records for the era. Second, formal ambition. It executed an unprecedented live-action convergence of three generations of Spider-Man: Holland, Maguire, Garfield, while integrating legacy villains, a notoriously difficult feat in continuity management. Historically, attempts to interlace multiple film canons risk incoherence or nostalgic hollowing. Yet this film maintained character primacy through the cure before condemnation motif. Both stakes together shaped industry strategy and creative choices.
And it had to stitch together rights and distribution, which sounds like a headache.
Indeed, the film exists because a renewed 2019 agreement between Sony and Disney allowed MCU integration while Sony retained distribution and character film rights. Disney co-financed at 25% and kept merchandising, with Amy Pascal and Kevin Feige co-overseeing. Without that détente, there is no Doctor Strange in the narrative, and certainly no sanctioned return of Raimi Webb elements within the MCU house style.
Can we list a couple of quick, interesting facts before the deeper dive?
Certainly. First, the film unites three Spider-Men in live action for the first time, engineered via a botched spell premise and executed with secrecy measures, cloaked arrivals, strategic denials, that became part of the marketing mystique. Second, behind the scenes, pandemic workflows reshaped production. Alfred Molina's tentacles are fully CGI this time. Sandman and Lizard's human form reveals relied on archival footage. On-set light systems and performer scans reduced close contact makeup, demonstrating how health constraints can accelerate VFX-centric pipelines.
And the basic development history. Could you sketch that arc briefly?
Briefly but completely. After Far From Home's identity reveal in 2019, writers McKenna and Summers explored a grounded Craven manhunt. Negotiations between Sony and Disney then ruptured in 2019, before being restored weeks later, aided by fan backlash and Tom Holland's outreach to Bob Iger and Tom Rothman. The story pivoted to an It's a Wonderful Lifestyle wish gone wrong, inviting Doctor Strange and, eventually, legacy villains. Pandemic scheduling in 2020 reshuffled release orders, requiring rewrites limiting Strange's multiverse literacy. By late 2020, returning actors locked in. Third act beats were re-engineered to give Maguire and Garfield meaningful mentorship roles. The film premiered December 2021. General release followed later that month. An extended cut arrived in September 2022. Before we get to the complexities, a personal note. As someone who studies structure, mathematically and narratively, I admire how the film reframes crossover as an optimization problem, minimizing fan service redundancy while maximizing character payoff. For instance, in Andrew Garfield's redemptive save of MJ, it is, if you will, elegant under constraint.
I've been wondering about this. Could we tackle three questions? One historical, one what if, and one still open today. First, historically, why did the Disney-Sony deal nearly collapse in 2019, and how was it restored?
The proximate cause was divergent valuations of contribution and reward. Disney sought a larger financing stake and profit share in future Spider-Man films, while Sony, owning distribution and character film rights, preferred the existing structure. Publicly, the door was declared closed. Privately, we can infer neither party desired to forfeit the synergistic surplus created by MCU integration, creative guidance, cross-promotion, and narrative adjacency to marquee characters. Restoration emerged within weeks because the opportunity cost of separation undercut both brands. The renewed terms, Disney at 25% co-finance and profits, merchandising retained, rebalanced incentives while preserving Sony's distribution primacy.
And how much of that was fans, really? Like, did sentiment materially change the outcome, or was it just noise?
It is worth noting both executives later credited Tom Holland's direct outreach, and indeed, fan reaction as catalytic. In simpler terms, vocal audience disutility signaled prospective revenue risk. Boycotts may be bluster, but diminished goodwill depresses repeat viewings and ancillary sales. When a single character anchors multi-billion-dollar lifetime value, even a modest percentage swing is non-trivial. Thus, sentiment, amplified by social platforms, functioned as a bargaining parameter, sharpening the perceived downside of impasse.
Okay, second, the counterfactual. What if Craven the Hunter had been the main antagonist, instead of the multiverse approach?
Then the film likely becomes a manhunt thriller constrained to one continuity. Narratively, Peter's identity exposure still supplies inciting pressure, but the ethical architecture tilts from rehabilitation to survival strategy. The apartment brawl's tragic arc might be replaced by stalking set pieces and procedural cat and mouse. No alternate Spider-Men, no redemption via curing legacy foes, and reduced thematic emphasis on second chances. Economically, the ceiling on event-scale nostalgia likely lowers. Artistically, you gain tonal coherence and potentially sharper social commentary about surveillance and vigilantism. But you sacrifice the once-in-a-generation intertextual payoff.
And character-wise, would Peter's growth land the same way without that, three brothers dynamic?
Probably not. The triadic mentorship allows externalization of Peter 1's inner debates, mercy versus expediency, while Garfield's save of MJ and Maguire's restraint of Peter at the brink supply mirrored resolutions from prior continuities. Remove them, and Holland's arc must achieve maturity through solitary choices or through a different mentor, risking either repetition of Tony-style guidance or a narrower emotional bandwidth. Aunt May's maxim would still resonate, but the communal processing of grief and responsibility would be less cathartic.
Third, looking ahead, how will the multiverse framework affect future Spider-Man films?
We see two countervailing forces. On one side, the multiverse affords optionality, selective crossovers, legacy cameos, and narrative bridges to Sony's Spider-Man universe, as exemplified by Tom Hardy's Venom leaving a symbiote fragment in the MCU. On the other, there is the risk of dilution and fatigue if cross-continuity surprises substitute for character development. Notably, the post-No Way Home status quo resets Peter to anonymity and street-level stakes. The 2026 launch of a new Holland trilogy with Brand New Day suggests a design to alternate between intimate storytelling and occasional multiversal punctuation. Success will hinge on governance, coherent rights coordination, disciplined cameo restraint, and maintaining the ethic of responsibility as the franchise is invariant.
And potential crossovers. Like, should we expect more Daredevil? Or, even games or TV variants stepping in?
Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock already re-entered via a calibrated cameo. Further street-level intersections are probable because they complement Peter's reset scale. As for cross-medium variants, animated or video game incarnations, those tempt high novelty, but carry continuity risk. Areas for further research include audience tolerance for ontological blending, the legal topography of character licensing, and crucially, methods to preserve narrative cohesion when temporal order shifts force real-time rewrites, as this film's strange knowledge adjustment demonstrated. To summarize, Spider-Man No Way Home is a multiverse-driven MCU film that converts a privacy crisis into a cross-franchise meditation on responsibility. It united three Spider-Men, achieved record pandemic box office, and navigated complex corporate and production constraints. We asked why the Sony-Disney deal faltered and returned, what a Craven-centric alternative might have yielded, and how the multiverse will shape future entries, including the present back-to-basics arc balanced against occasional crossovers.
Maybe that's something we can come back to later. The broader impact of the MCU's multiverse on cinema, especially how audience expectations shift over time.
This then completes our present analysis. Thank you for listening, and take care.
Thank you, and see you next time.